All right, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to the show. Talking about with Matt Garces here, talking about sports. Today, I am going to be joined by a couple of co-hosts today. First, starting off with my brother, Joseph Supermex Rodriguez. How you doing, man?
I'd be doing better if I got a proper introduction. Let's make this one thing clear. I'm a prominent voice in the boxing community, the voice of the Bulldogs athletics, and the Border Wars chubby weight champion, the man who started it all. Your favorite fighters. But nonetheless, we're going to pass it over to, in my opinion, a person with the most diabolically terrible takes in possibly the history of sports. Uh, Post Malone's doppelganger, and just one of the most delusional people I've ever met. And it's not because he's a Cowboys fan. Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Owen. Justin, how are you?
What's going on? What's going on? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir. We can hear you. Welcome back to the show, everybody that's already tuned in before. We all know our good friend Justin here, as he is my normal co-host here. Usually the show's on Mondays. Since it is a slow week, since it's just Super Bowl week, we waited till tonight to get on to the show. And as we prepare for that, guys, we got everything a lot going on tonight. NFL honors are tonight, where they'll give the awards out. Game is on Sunday. The line has not really moved. So let's go ahead and get into the Super Bowl coming up on Sunday, as the Seattle Seahawks are favored by 4.5, minus 230 on the money line. Patriots coming in at minus 105 for their plus 4.5 points coverage. The over-under is set at 45.5. Joseph, how do you see this game looking out on Sunday evening?
Yeah, so I do favor the Seahawks. I think they are the better team. I think they have the better defense. I don't know if they have the better quarterback, but um, the Seahawks just right now feel like they have all the momentum in the world. I don't think it's such a heavy favorite Seahawks game like a lot of people feel like. I believe that it's going to be a low scoring ball game, maybe a 14-10 type of game, and I think that ultimately the Seahawks defense is going to force Drake May to make a mistake, put the ball on the carpet or in the hands of the defense, and I got the Patriots dropping this game. But I got it being if you're a defensive guy like me who loves defense, I've got it being a masterpiece defense, and I think ultimately the team with the better defense will win the day.
Justin, what do you got?
Yeah, I tend to agree with Joseph. I don't think I see a lot of people calling for like a blowout. And I don't see that happening. I think number one, I think both teams are too well coached. Both teams have really good head coaches, so I think that's going to be a competitive game. I do think Seattle, like Joseph said, is better overall. I think their weapons are better. Their defense is better. I think they're just a better team, and I think talent's going to outweigh it in the end. But I do think Patriots defense is a little better than people think they are too, and I think that's a big thing that people are overlooking. I think that defense is pretty good, just not quite Seattle's. And I like Seattle's weapons. I think JSN is just that's going to be a matchup right there. Watching Gonzalez versus JSN, that's going to be a huge matchup in this game. But I just
And not to mention something that you've talked about all throughout the season in your Patriots hate, but it's a very valid point in this situation is how battle tested is New England.
Mm-hmm.
They had the easiest strength of schedule in the NFL. Their first round playoff game wasn't too tough. Then you ran into C.J. Stroud, who my dad would tell you is everything he thought he is, and then you run into the Broncos in a terrible weather game minus Bo Nix. So you know you can't call a team in the Super Bowl frauds or fraudulent, but you definitely have to have some eyebrows raised of hey, how stiff has the competition really been? And is this I think a lot of the people that feel like this is going to be a blowout feel like this is because Seahawks are a real team and the Patriots are finally going to see some real competition. Um, I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's worth noting that this is going to be their first test, and what a hell of a game to find out how good you really are.
I mean,
Well, I
it's like
think
you guys
you
alluded
hold on.
to.
I think you see the blowout with a lot of people because when you bring up who the Patriots have played, a super easy round, CJ Stroud making the mistakes he was making, and then a Bo Nix, this Broncos team, everybody sees that Drake May hasn't been playing the best in all of these playoff games. He's made a lot of mistakes. He's fumbled the ball. He's turned it over a lot. It's just his defense has been there to help him capitalize with a lot of short fields. So I think that's where everybody's coming at with the Seahawks being as dominant as they are on defense and as powerful as they are on offense.
Yeah.
So answer,
And,
that's
and
where
that's the thing
everybody's
about it,
looking at.
right? So you look at Houston versus New England, where Houston's defense was able to get them to put the ball on the turf, get some turnovers, and just bad quarterback play. You can't get the points, man. Um,
I mean, it's like
are
you
the
guys have
are the
said all
Patriots?
year. It is the NFL, so you can only play who's ahead of you. But after the NFL is done, and you see what the teams were. You do have to look that based on what the teams finished at. They had the easiest schedule in I think something like 20 years. That I mean, it's a cause for concern. But they did show up. They won the playoff games. They won the games that were ahead of them. But it's a good point to point that out because you just don't. I mean, how good are they? I just think they're well coached, and I think that's
They're
a big
very
key
well
to the
coached.
Patriots.
They're a well coached team, and they're a together team. Um, that's a team that believes in the system. They believe in each other, and they believe in that quarterback. So that's why I say I expect this to be a good ball game, a low scoring affair. Um,
And there will be something to them hearing about how Seattle's going to blow them out all for 2 weeks straight.
Yep.
That's going to give them a little juice.
And
Hmm.
I think a lot of that, you've been hearing so much the last 2 weeks about the revenge game, man. That Legion of Boom team and everybody from it is gone.
Yeah.
This is not a revenge game for them. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah, maybe for the fans, but
and that's the thing is that the fans believe in too much. This is not that same. This defense is good, but they're not Legion of Boom good.
no, they're not.
Yeah, they're a different level. They're more of a pass rush heavy team than they were built up deep in that secondary market. But I mean, I can see a lot of this going. I'm not gonna say blowout, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be close for the first couple quarters until Seattle eventually takes over the game and eventually mows down the New England Patriots. Who do y'all see as the winner? Who do y'all see coming out early prediction as the Super Bowl MVP? Do you think Sam Darnold's gonna play out of his mind once again, or do you think somebody out on his receiver staff can get in there with the
I'm
MVP?
taking JSN.
I would keep my eye on Cooper Cup to win his second Super
Good
Bowl
point.
MVP. You're gonna have a lot of attention on JSN. You're gonna have guys focused on him. So, and let me be clear, I wouldn't be shocked to see New England win this ball game.
Mm-hmm.
That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I just favor Seattle. But yeah, I would keep my eyes on Cooper Cup. I think he's going to come up with some pivotal catches. He's been here before. He's been a champion, and I think this is you know, there's so much attention on JSN. There's not a lot of attention on Cooper Cup playing with a chip on his shoulder. It showed up in the NFC Championship, and I believe it'll show up in the Super Bowl. So if I was a betting man, I'd slide something on Cooper Cup to become the Super Bowl MVP for the second time in his career.
It's a good take too because he did make some pivotal catches in that NFC Championship game. I think the Patriots run a lot of man, and so I'm wondering if the game plan is going to be, do they trust Gonzalez to stick one on one with JSN? Because I would not, and I don't think Vrabel will either. Gonzalez is really good, but I think you have to have safety help with JSN. He's just too good. So I could see that actually happen. And he made big plays in the NFC Championship game.
Hey, look, and I'd love for D Law to just have 6 sacks and take the award himself. You know what I mean? That if my heart is picking, that's what I want.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a possibility. Right now, Cooper Cup is sitting at a plus 9,000 along with DeMarcus Lawrence to
Yeesh.
win that MVP. The favorite right now is between the two quarterbacks. Then you got Jackson Smith and Jigba at plus 500. Kenneth Walker the third at plus 850. But I do like that Cooper Cup pick because he has kind of been playing with that chip on his shoulder with something to prove. And like Joseph said, especially in that Rams game where he was to prove the point, like you gave me up for these guys, for this guy. You brought in Devontae, you promoted Puka, and he was there to prove a point. And I believe he could also have a big game in the Super Bowl, but it's
It's
gonna
just
be
gonna be
good.
hard. It's just gonna be hard if you're a bet man because if a quarterback throws for 3 touchdowns, they'll probably get the MVP. And I mean, you have to go insane if you're not the quarterback to get the MVP of the Super Bowl.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, and look, JSN at plus 500. That's worth putting some money on.
yeah. JSN at plus 500 is worth putting some money on, but let's
I
put
mean,
some
let's
money.
call it. He's been the best receiver in the league this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Top guy for sure. Top guy. It's a short list of top guys that you probably want on your team for next year. Smith and Jigba being probably number one. And then you got George Pickens and probably Puka Nacua right behind him. But speaking of the guys that throw to the quarterbacks, let's get on to this MVP award as the NFL honors are tonight. These were your announced finalists for the MVP award. Joseph, who are you leaning towards on the MVP category this tonight?
If it was actually an award of the most valuable person to their team, not just a quarterback award, um, based off what the team was able to do in spite of all the things going against them, I would have said Christian McCaffrey should be the favorite. The first of all, Christian McCaffrey should be an MVP favorite, and Kyle Shanahan should be the coach of the year because to be that decimated with injuries and get your team to the divisional round of the playoffs in a year that you were left and should have been dead in the water, that to me is exactly what the MVP is. But and we don't count playoffs, so I think you're going to have to go with Matt Stafford.
Justin, where are you leaning? You made a
Yeah, I
decent
think.
case for Josh Allen earlier today. Will you capitalize on that?
Yeah, well, I think it's gonna be Matthew Stafford. But if you're looking at who is the most valuable player to their team, Christian McCaffrey, that was a great point. But what is? I mean, he's not going to do it because he won it last year. But I mean, what is the main thing that people say? What what would the Bills be without Josh Allen? I mean, what would their record have been this year without Josh Allen? My God, they might have won 4 games. And so that's like, in my opinion, that's like you could look at Josh Allen and say, man, that dude should be the MVP. But you're not gonna get that. It's gonna be Stafford, especially like he said, you don't get playoffs in that. So it's really a 2 dog race. I think at this point, it's gonna be Drake May and Matthew Stafford. One of those two are gonna win it. I'm a lead towards Matthew Stafford, but looking overall, I mean, in my opinion, I'm like, you look at Josh Allen, man. Just you take away that guy. What is that team? And that's a great point about Christian McCaffrey. You take away Christian McCaffrey. I mean, what are the Niners? You take away Josh Allen. What are the Bills? 4-win teams, 5-win teams.
And to that point, though, same can be said about Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence is quietly creeping around the top 5 in quarterbacks in the NFL. He's not going to get the credit just yet, but he's possibly 6 or 7. If you had to ask me right now, gun to my head, if I'm being objective.
Yeah, and that team is good, man. That team was people are not going to remember that team because they lost first round, but that was a much better team than I think anybody was. They were really under the radar all season.
That team completely flipped around, bro. They were drafting high last year, and they turned it all the way around after losing that high draft pick.
And I like their head coach too.
Yeah, he's pretty good. And Trevor Lawrence himself, to Joseph's credit, like he said, is entered in and around that top 5 conversation because he's probably played the best he's played his entire career. He's fully unlocked his abilities, and he's only he's under 30 years old for sure. He's only in his 5th, 6th year. There's no telling what the ceiling could be, especially when they add more pieces to that team, young pieces, fast pieces. But my lean for sure, I think I'm going with Matthew Stafford just because, they're going to look at the stats and look at the performance, especially because they're not going to look like similar to what Justin said. Josh Allen, without Josh Allen, what is that team? Without Trevor Lawrence, what is that team? But a real shame it's going to discredit because Drake May was doing all these things because playoffs don't count as bad as he's been in the playoffs. He's been good and bad, had good quarters and bad quarters. But outside of Stephon Diggs, there's a lot of Jags around Drake May and the Patriots. And he's been playing phenomenal the entire season. In his second year, no less, under the guidance of what was the Brady formula. You bring in the McDaniels and you bring in Vrabel. for the defensive minded, and it's the best thing the Patriots have seen in a long time. But I'm going to lead Matt Stafford to take this one home. Very, very solid cases for each of these guys to make it. I think that Christian McCaffrey and that Josh Allen argument is pretty good. Trevor Lawrence will get there. Don't get me wrong, Trevor Lawrence will get there, but it seems like he's going to be maybe a step or two back. Let's move on to the what probably should be the real MVP award because it includes all kinds of players. Offensive Player of the Year. Justin, where are you leaning on this one? You got Smith and Jigma, Bijan, Puka, Christian McCaffrey, and Drake May.
I'm going Jackson Smith and Jigba. Reason being is that he stepped up. They decided, we're not going to do this with Metcalf. And I mean, he's been number one all season, man. He has been phenomenal. He's just every week I watch him, man, I'm impressed. So all those guys have great cases. Puka's been amazing. Bijan's always a beast. Christian McCaffrey, but I got to go Jackson Smith and Nick Jimba here.
I like it. Joseph, what you got? Offensive player.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be the same, man. Just looking at the list, man, you can't deny what JSN has done, man. JSN has been that guy this season, and it's just Puka's been great, CMC great. It's a good list, but you talk about being the player of the year. It's hands down JSN.
I mean, you're talking about being a guy at receiver in a league that has CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, and so I think that's why he's got to be.
Yeah, it's a good pick. I like Jackson Smith and Jigba as well, just because for sure this season he's kind of showed and dominated that he is the best receiver in the league right now for the season. The fact that you find that perfect pairing for him with Sam Darnold and how he's just leveled up his game beyond what anybody could really expect, especially out of the Seahawks alone. The Seahawks are probably one of the more slept on teams in the entire NFL this year. And the success that they have all around just shows why you shouldn't put the cart before the horse in the entire league. As we picked our favorites, we all had these conversations of who was going to do what. The Seattle Seahawks never came up in conversation preseason, early season.
I mean, and neither did the Patriots. I mean, yeah, I had them called to go to win the division, but I don't think they were on anybody's radar for Super Bowl. So it just goes to show you, man. It's like Ben Johnson, who is a phenomenal coach, said it best. In his closing press conference for the season after they got eliminated, they said, they asked him how to build off this for next year. He said, "No, man, this is it. We're starting over." And that's such a true statement, man. Look at some of these teams that were Super Bowl teams and NFC Championship teams. You know what I mean? Some of those teams really did have to go back to the drawing board, and a lot of teams will suffer the fate of, man, their schedule was weak. Prime example, Philadelphia Eagles. They were not that good a year ago. I don't care what anybody says. Yes, they won the Super Bowl. They got there. They got it done. That team wasn't the best team in football. And again, I get it. It's going to sound crazy. People are going to go nuts because I said, well, how the hell not? They won the Super Bowl. They weren't that good of a team. They had a lot of close scoring games. They live and died off the tush push, and it caught up to him this year. Jalen Hurts is not a top 10 quarterback. He's not a top 15 quarterback. And I feel like a team like the Patriots may suffer a little bit of the same next year. The Broncos are going to suffer the same next year. The Chargers weren't quite there this year. They're going to be there next year. Bo Nix, I don't think is that guy. And the Broncos also won a lot of one-score ball games. So
yeah, the Broncos are going to have their own problem brewing between their quarterback and head coach. It seems like after when your quarterback is calling his own press conference after the coach kind of throws you under the bus a little bit for calling you injury prone because you've had surgeries in high school and college, that's a problem for the rest of their time together. That marriage is going to be tough between Sean Payton and Bo Nix.
Yeah, and if this season next year goes how I think it'll go, Sean Payton will be the scapegoat because you invested a lot of money in Bo Nix. Although I don't think either guy is the guy to get you to a Super Bowl. Bo Nix, don't see it, not the guy. And I'm a firm believer that until proven otherwise, and I don't think in my lifetime it'll be proven otherwise, a coach doesn't win a Super Bowl as a head coach of two different franchises.
Yep.
It just doesn't
History is
happen.
behind that.
Well, then I like the comparison of the Patriots and the Eagles there because you remember too last year Philly had a favorable matchup in the NFC Championship game. They had Washington, who really probably shouldn't have even been there. We've seen that this year, and they loaded up more, and they still weren't very good. So, does the playoff run that they had this year and the schedule they had this year does that affect them next year? You know, and there's going to be other teams that I think are still going to be really good. Like I think Detroit could be back again next year, and it's going to be tough. I think Chicago might be better next year. So there's a lot of teams that are going to be really good this year, you know. And then San Francisco's gotten kind of old. As great as their season was this year, and they made it and they did it all they could, but them injuries are a real thing for them. The injuries are a real thing for them. So you know what happens there? You know, Kansas City, are they going to be able to bounce back? You know, Buffalo Bills, they got a new coach. Are they going to revamp and add?
And
Are they
and I
going to
think
add Josh Allen some talent?
I think you got to keep your eye on the Los Angeles Chargers for next season. They're gonna get better. Harbaugh's got more time. He's starting to build his team. Keep your eye on the LA Chargers for next season. I'm not.
Yeah, I
You
like that
know,
too. They just need. It seems to me they need they're a weapon and an offensive line away.
They got to get younger. That's the Chargers' real big problem is they got to get younger,
I,
especially
I
out
don't
at
think so. I
receiver.
think they're at a prime age, and like Justin said, you're just. I think, you know, not to sidetrack, but that's why I think, everybody's talking this, and we'll touch on it more later. The George Pickens thing.
Yeah.
Keep your eye on the Chargers trying to pursue George Pickens if he's not tagged.
Oh, George Pickens
Because
is going to be a hot commodity.
and
A
they
So
need a
very
George
hot
weapon.
Pickens and
commodity.
AJ Brown would be good for the Chargers.
But
But they
well,
got to have
I,
they got to have an offensive line though. I mean, their
I
offensive
don't
line has
think
been
AJ
bad.
Brown is
they
is
got
a
a
good
line. They
anyway.
just weren't. Their line got injured. Half of their whole interior line got hurt. So it's rough to keep everybody afloat. But let's wrap up some of these awards real quick. We'll finish up on the comeback player of the year, where there's some decent debating around this one because you got Dak, you got McCaffrey, and you got Trevor Lawrence in this category. Joseph, where are you leaning for comeback player of the year? It seems like this is a real good comeback player outside of just quarterbacks coming back for a couple weeks and looking decent.
Yeah, or a guy breaking his finger in the last little bit of a playoff game and some asshole nominating him for the next year before the game's even over.
Yeah,
But
voices were heard.
listen, my heart and my cowboy blood pumping through me is going to tell you Dak Prescott, right? Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott played amazing. Dak, I've never been a Dak guy until he won me over this year. He did. He took over the heart and soul of the team. You see the team plays for him. He is my quarterback now. It took him 10 seasons to get here, but I'm here. But I think it's going to go to Stephon Diggs.
Really?
I think Diggs balled out. I think he was under the radar, but he balled, man. You're talking about a Patriots team. They didn't win that division based off the quarterback. They didn't win it based off the defense. Stephon Diggs is a big part of that. So I'm going to go with Dak, but I have a sneaking suspicion that Diggs is walking away with this award tonight.
Justin, who do you got winning the comeback player of the year? Are you riding the Dak attack still?
Yeah, I'm going with that just because that was a major injury. He comes back. He's incredible. I mean, even the games that we lost, we were only in those because he was phenomenal, and that offense was phenomenal. I do like the Stephon Diggs pick though because he is right about that. He almost feels like he's not getting enough credit for that team, right? He is their weapon. He's the number one guy there, and I mean, look where they are. Like you said earlier, who's seen them where they are right now? It's unbelievable. So,
Not just that, Justin, but let's be honest here. After he left Buffalo, went to Houston, things really didn't work out the way they hoped in Houston.
Got
People were
hurt
talking
again.
about Stephon Diggs as washed. So a lot of times I feel like comeback player of the year always gets caught up in who came back from an injury. people were writing Diggs off. It's over. He's not the same. He's washed. He's not that guy. He has proved that wrong, and that is also a comeback. So that's why I said something in me tells me they want to get away from it just being a came back from injury award. And don't get me wrong, when you come back from a devastating injury like Dak Prescott, who probably helped the Cowboys from being a 3-win team, that's impressive. But man, I just something I got a sneaking suspicion that they may that the voters may lean towards Diggs.
I think this is looking like a Trevor Lawrence award, if anything. If he doesn't walk away with anything, Trevor Lawrence to me, as like you got to look at how well we were just talking about him coming back from his injury and being doubted the entire way. If he is he ever going to be what people said he was noted to be? Is he going to like he was, bro? He was being hyped up since high school. So, and now look at him. He injured, like we just said, he's entering a top 5 conversation. He's unlocked some of his full capabilities, and he balled out better than the Jaguars have ever wanted him to. Everything that he wanted him to become, he became that this year. Turned into a great thrower of the football. His IQ is extremely high. His performance on the field also, like you
And
said, he carried the Jaguars through this
and
season.
not just that, Matt. Let's be honest here. How many times can you win comeback player of the year? That's I think is also
That's another
something
thing.
that's going to
That's
sit in
another
the
thing.
mind of the voters. Dak just won this award a couple of years ago. How many
Yep.
more times are you going to win this?
So did Christian McCaffrey. So you
That's what
could
I'm
probably
saying.
take him
So
out of it.
But I also think that the thing that will go in Dak's favor is that we got to remember there was a point in time where it looked like for like a 4-week stretch mid-season. I mean, Dak was almost leading the MVP vote.
I mean, yeah, early in the
100%. But
season,
listen,
yeah.
what killed his argument? It may be what derails him here tonight. Is man, the Cowboys with them, the record wasn't much better this season. You know,
I mean, that is
um,
true.
that just is what it is. At the end of the day, that is a big thing people look at is man, if you had that big of an impact, how come your team missed the playoffs?
Yeah,
How come X
that's
Y
why I
Z?
lean that's why I lean in Trevor Lawrence because you look I mean, look, he's winning football games and he won that division. Granted,
Yep.
they got a bad finish to their season in the playoff, but
hmm
you're looking at the regular season's work. Trevor Lawrence Trevor Lawrence to me is an easy
And,
hand
and
pick
a
for
lot of
this
this too,
award.
man, is let's just be honest. Dak Prescott, he's the Cowboys quarterback, so there's just stigma to you that no matter how well you play, you're just not going to overcome in the eyes of a lot of people. And unfortunately, a lot of those people are voters.
Yeah, a
That's
lot
true.
of those guys are voters. All right. Now here's the big hot topic that, one of the bigger hot topics that we're going to cover in this show is going to be the Hall of Fame. Here's a lot of the list of the finalists for this year's Hall of Fame. A lot of guys up for first ballot, but I know it's coaches, right? But seeing a lot of what happened with Bill Belichick specifically, the debate of then what is a first ballot Hall of Famer? Out of this list, Justin, I'll start with you. Who do you see on this list that should be a for sure Hall of Famer? And then give me 5 guys on here that are making the Hall of Fame or should make the Hall of Fame for
Well,
sure.
I think you got to, Jason Witten and Larry Fitzgerald to me have to be there. I mean, absolutely should be there. That's my. I mean, they just have Drew Brees actually. Looking at the list, Drew Brees first ballot, no doubt about it, no doubt about it. And then if you start with Drew, if that's your one guy, then I mean, Jason Witten, Darren Woodson, Reggie Wayne, Larry Fitzgerald, um, and Frank Gore. Even though Eli probably should be there, but
Joseph, what you got? Hall of Fame. Who should be first
So
ballot, and who are 5 you think that should for sure be in the Hall of Fame?
obviously, man, I think Drew's going in tonight, and I think that is just to kind of settle the nerves because with all the controversy with Kraft and Belichick, everybody's eyebrows are raised and looking at Tom Brady, and even Tom Brady's like, well, shit, am I going to get in? So I agree with Justin there. Drew is a for sure pick, and he should be. Um, the Hall of Fame. You got to remember, man. It's also about how how you your impression you left on people. Did you rub people the wrong way? Were you an asshole? Because T.O. only has Jerry Rice ahead of him statistically, and they put Randy Moss in faster than him. T.O. T.O. for my lifetime, because I didn't see Jerry in his prime, is the greatest receiver I've ever seen
Mhm.
in my lifetime. That hasn't changed. Again, nothing against Jerry. I didn't see Jerry with my own eyes in his prime. I saw T.O. T.O. was that guy. So with that information in front of me, um, I'm looking at this list, man. I think Witten gets it. I think Witten gets the nod. Um, an interesting one is Adam Vinatieri.
Who should have already been in. This man
Right, and
leads the
so
entire
is
league.
he? So now we go back and says, hey, is he getting the slack of the Patriots smudge on him?
Yeah, because this is his fourth ballot that
Yeah.
he's on. Fourth
So,
ballot.
but I think and this is me just hoping and praying. I think Darren Woodson will finally punch the ticket. Long overdue. We're coming up on almost 20 years that he should have been in there. I think Darren Woodson gets the call. I think Torrey Holt will finally get his due. Eli's a hard call for me because I don't think it's just about Super Bowls personally, and I don't think Eli Manning is a Hall of Fame quarterback. People forget there's plenty of Super Bowl winning quarterbacks that aren't in the Hall of Fame. Hell, Tom Flores was a head coach that won Super Bowls, didn't get into the Hall of Fame. So, that the Super Bowl, I think if you got the stats, like Tony Romo has the stats to be a Hall of Famer, but he doesn't have the ring.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but the reality of it is, man, it's the standards are different for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
For Tony Romo, if he wasn't the Cowboys quarterback, were those stats enough? Probably so. Probably so. I think so. But again, the standard of the Cowboys quarterback is Roger Staubach and Troy Aikman.
Yeah, the guys that got Super Bowls.
So, but then you got a guy like Jason Witten, right? And Jason Witten is just, the modern day Bob Lilly, the modern day Mr. Cowboy. He's not the quarterback, so he doesn't get the brunt of, well, you didn't win the Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? He caught as many passes as he could. The quarterback choked it away. I'd like to see T Sizzle get in. Terrell Suggs was a big reason that Ray Lewis was able to retire with a Super Bowl. He kind of fell off the radar after that, but he was not bad. He was consistently good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go Drew Brees, Reggie Wayne, Jason Witten, Darren Woodson, and I think Kuechly's getting the call. I think they're going to round it out with an even batch.
I like it. I agree. For sure, the two that I agree with is Larry Fitzgerald, Drew Brees, and I said three. Jason Witten for sure, because Jason Witten is just. I get what you're saying. Like he doesn't get the slack because like the quarterbacks do because he's not the quarterback, but he's one of the best tight ends of all time. That's for sure. Like top 5, top 6 best tight ends to ever play this game. Now,
And
my big thing.
Interrupt you real quick, Matt, because that's the thing that people lose sight of too. Is Hall of Fame isn't just the stats, the on the field. They've established that. They've made that clear. So I think Jason Witten's leadership, his off the field, his moral character, that's all being factored in here. And I believe he's getting the call tonight.
And not only that, the stats that don't count. The stats that don't count. Jason Witten is one of the few actual tight ends that can block and catch the ball and take off running with the ball. He's very athletic for the tight end position.
Well, I think those character things go in for Larry too.
Yeah, but even Larry Fitzgerald, bro, he's on the all-time receivers list in yards and receptions. So but like if you're on that short list of 10 people all time, to me you have to be in there. I also think Luke Kuechly's going to get the call, but for sure Adam Vinatieri needs to be in the Hall of Fame. Adam Vinatieri is the reason that Peyton Manning and Tom Brady have Super Bowl rings on their fingers. He leads the entire league in points scored. In a league where points are the entire reason you win the game, he has the most. So there's no reason Adam Vinatieri should be waiting. And could that be seen as like it's in my head now? Is he being punished for these Patriots scandals? Quite possibly, because that, and then at the same time, that makes you worry about a Tom Brady. Is he gonna get foiled? Or what about Gronk? When Gronk's times come, is Gronk gonna have to wait?
And so let's dive into the one that's been a topic of discussion, though, is Eli Manning. I'm sorry. For people our age, they don't understand it, unless you're a diehard Raiders fan. Jim Plunkett won a Heisman, won 2 Super Bowls, Super Bowl MVP. He's not in the Hall. So why somebody would have to sit there and explain to me, then why should Eli Manning be in before Jim Plunkett? Because it's not the game. The Super Bowl itself isn't just quarterback versus quarterback. So I can't just live off of, well, he beat Tom Brady. Tom Brady didn't exist in the 80s as a quarterback in the NFL. So, he's
But
just not a Hall of Fame
I think part of
quarterback.
the Eli thing is that it's the 2 against Tom. It's a lot of things. It's the helmet catch, the wild card teams that they were, the beating the undefeated Patriots team in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's hard to write that era of football without those 2 giant teams. But credit to what you say, it wasn't just Eli. A lot of that was that defensive front for the Giants.
Let's be real.
Let's not act like his name.
The helmet catch is a receiver making a catch on a bad throw.
Yeah.
But if you watch that play, it's made possible. Eli escapes.
And I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. So we're looking at, okay, he beat Jim Plunkett won 2 Super Bowls himself.
I just think voters, looking at it from a voter's point of view, I wouldn't.
But you're thinking, but from a voter's point of view, those voters were around in the Jim Plunkett when he was playing. These voters have been around for years. So that's what I'm saying. You're looking at it from, if I was a voter from my era, and that's the thing about it, is those voters were around in that point, and that's why I don't see Eli going in.
Yeah, those 2 Super Bowls, like, those are good wins, but like when you break those Super Bowls down, those 2, he probably shouldn't have even been the MVP in both of them, if you really look at it. But to me, it's always been the politics of the voters were going to get him in because of his last name alone. He's a Manning. He's in the royal family of the NFL. Let's keep it a buck. And he might not get it now, or he might get it now. Now that some of those old voters are going to get looked at, because they're going to take some of these voters out of the vote, and there's going to be new guys. And who has the most influence on voters' minds nowadays in anything, in the NFL's mind? The Mannings are on all over the place, so I wouldn't be surprised if Eli gets in eventually. But I agree, because he doesn't have the accolades. His winning record is 500. He never led the league. He never led the league in passing. He never got an MVP. He was never the best quarterback or a top 10 quarterback.
No, we know regular season Eli just wasn't that good.
He was never the best quarterback in his division.
Yeah, he was. That's what I'm saying. He was never even considered a top 10, top 15 quarterback.
No, I think Tony was. Career. I think Tony was worlds better than Eli. I really do. I truly believe that. I know it's biased because I'm a Cowboys fan, but I felt like Donovan on the Eagles when he played for the Eagles was better than Eli. I really do. A lot
of people were, but that's what we're saying is it's not those 2 Super Bowls alone. No matter who they're against, he could have played God and beat.
And it's funny because you talked about Vinatieri. It's funny because you talked about Vinatieri. Does he get, because the voters seem to be snubbing Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick? Does he get voter credit for beating the Patriots?
Like Matt mentioned, though.
Well, but he's the reason reason Peyton and Tom got Super Bowl rings. He's the reason for both of them.
So does Eli get credit though for beating the Patriots? Since it seems that I'm talking about from the voters' point of view. I'm talking from the voters.
What else did you do?
That's the thing is thankfully a lot of times. Hold on, thankfully, Justin, the voters, they look at football and these things as it should be. That's the problem. Is and you buy into this a lot. It's, well, he beat Brady. He beat the Patriots. No, he didn't.
I'm saying because of
let me finish.
The Patriots that's just 2 years of his
the
entire
snubs
career.
that the Patriots are getting, though. The snubs. There's
That's
obviously
what I'm saying. If you're going to snub them, then that takes away Eli's argument, because now you're saying those Patriots teams weren't really that good. They shouldn't have been there. They cheated. So
so
that
they're going to say
his argument.
He beat a cheating Patriots team.
That hurts his argument. And again, you got to go back and look at those games. That 07 championship, Okay, the helmet catch. That's one play. You know who kept them in that ball game and kept them competitive? Ahmad Bradshaw running the
Yes.
ball for the Giants. That was not a Eli Manning game. The quarterback gets too much glory, and these voters there's contingencies, and they have to look at what broke that down. You break down that Super Bowl, the first one. That's not a that last second is Amari Toomer making the catch. Yes, it was a great play, but that game was an Ahmad Bradshaw ball game.
And I don't
Absolutely.
know if he gets in this year, but I think he's gonna get in eventually. Especially like because of the name,
The politics are going to get him in.
his name alone. Like Matt said,
Yeah,
his
no,
name
that's
alone.
what Matt was saying is he's a Manning. You almost can't have a Manning not in, but you know what? The NFL loves the drama show. They could make Eli wait 10, 15 years.
They
They
really
might.
could. But that's like what's super concerning about the guys that deserve to be in, like the Larrys and the Drews and fucking Adam Vinatieri and Jason Witten. We're worried about these first ballot guys if they're even going to get in.
I
But
can't see a world where
you're
he
talking about
doesn't
worried
get in
about those
tonight.
guys. Darren Woodson is still waiting. Drew Pearson didn't get into a couple years ago. Jim Plunkett, I'll bring up again, is not even a finalist.
Well, look how
Yeah.
long it took Chris Carter to get in.
You know what I mean? Like the we have to remember that a lot of times we look at these players through rose-colored glasses because they were in our, especially when they're the players that you grew up watching. Everybody feels like their era was the best, right? Their era of whatever it is, music, movies, football, wrestling, sports, you name it, whatever era you grew up in, those were the best guys. And sometimes we just have to take a step back and take a look at the big picture of who of all the eras. And you're talking about a Hall of Fame. A Hall of Fame should be the best players that have ever played
Yeah.
the game in any era.
I think
And you know, I I don't think Jason's a lock because of his play style. But again, I go back to, it's also, did you rub people the wrong way? Were you likable? Were you an asshole? That has an impact on the voters, as we have found out very much clearly with Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft.
yeah, with Bill Belichick and the Kraft, and like you said with To, because even To was like, look, they're doing it again. They're holding them out because somebody doesn't like them. Somebody has a agenda against you, and they keep them out. But
That's why I don't really
It's,
see a
it's
world where
gatekeeping
like
at
Drew
its
doesn't
finest.
get in, or Larry,
yeah,
or Jason.
Drew's gonna get in. I
I
feel
mean,
like
I
Drew
don't
for
see it
sure should
because
be a lock.
he's got the regular stats. He's got everything you want. He's got the one
Way
Super
too
Well,
Bowl.
big.
and Drew gets in because the voters right now want to calm the nerves of everybody, because, like I said in my beginning of this, everybody has our eyebrows right up because there's no way Tom Brady shouldn't have his own fucking wing in the Hall of Fame, much less be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Bro,
I don't even know why he's
similar to
waiting
Drew
Bill.
is
5 years.
getting
Similar to
in.
Bill, he should have cut the line. He should have just automatic.
Drew is getting in simply, if nothing else, to just put everybody's minds at ease. And to be fair, I don't think Brady comes off very likable, especially now that he's a commentator. You see him everywhere. I became a fan of Brady. I used to hate him, but he's not an asshole. Bill Belichick, the world's oldest simp, next to the Undertaker, is an unlikable asshole. Robert Kraft is a dirty old man. Let's call
Yeah.
it what it is.
I mean,
And
people,
he's
yeah,
kind of
people
a
don't
prick.
like Bill.
Kraft had his
He's
own
just
controversies also.
he's just
Recently.
he's just Jerry Jones with more championships.
I mean, I could never imagine. There's no way in hell that Tom Brady's not first ballot. I mean, that's not going to happen. He's definitely going in. I agree. He should have cut the line. I mean, people hate him till this day, but that's just because they're probably fans of that division, or just fans of other teams. But
It's personal agendas, bro. At the end of the day, it's personal agendas of what you have, and
that's a
you
bad
like
look
the
for the Hall.
person or not.
I was surprised a little bit that the Hall of Fame just didn't step in and said, no, we're doing this, because I'm not a Bill fan. I don't even know, but he was the head coach of that team. I mean, I don't understand he's not in. I just don't get that.
Head coach and GM for most of it, bro. He was both. He played both roles. He was drafting them, making the teams, and then coaching them. But let's get into the funner topic, probably the one that's going to come up with more conversation with you two. Micah Parsons was out and about on the Pro Bowl on a scooter, apparently trying to recruit one George Pickens, as reported here. Cowboys receiver CeeDee Lamb said on the Up and Adams show with Kay Adams that Micah Parsons was spending Pro Bowl week trying to recruit George Pickens to Green Bay. CD was quoted as they're not getting him. Joseph, what do you think about this from Micah trying to recruit guys away from the Cowboys? Is it hate? Is it truly trying to help the team that he's been paid by? And how does George Pickens stay on the Cowboys with rumors that now that the Raiders are looking to make some moves, to which one of the moves that the Cowboys were interested this year? How do you keep Pickens on that team? And what do you think about Micah's actions and how he was kind of just floating around Cowboys the whole weekend?
Number one, I think people lose sight of this. The Cowboys, in worst case scenario, will tag GP. So George Pickens is going to be in Dallas at least next season. Um, I'd love to see a long term deal work out. I love what CD is saying that he doesn't mind if GP gets paid more. These guys want to win. With the Micah thing, man, it's saltiness. It's trying to save face because let's keep it 100. We've all seen the clips. We've all watched the offseason. I will always be a fan of Micah Parsons. That is my son's favorite player. He went to Micah Parsons' camp. Micah Parsons gave Junior words of encouragement. My son wears number 11 because that is his favorite player. And, Matt knows well as anybody that Micah really inspired Junior and motivated him and he touched him. And that's a moment that my son will never forget. So I will never not be a fan of Micah. But Micah's very salty. He has egg on his face. And he has no intention. Micah, I'll just cut to the chase with it. Micah has shown he's self-centered, he's egotistical, he's a diva. DeMarcus Lawrence said it, nobody believed him. We got proven wrong by D-Law on so many levels this season. But he said D-Law, Michael Parsons is a diva in not so many words. And right now, Micah Parsons very obviously regrets this decision. He very obviously still wants to be a Dallas Cowboy. People are, if you look at things through an objective lens, that Micah Parsons looked like a sad puppy hanging around the Cowboys, being in the mix. And so now him trying to recruit players over is him trying to justify and save face and say, nah, man, you'll love it here. We made the right call. But I've said this from the beginning. Micah's going to finish this deal, and do not be surprised when Micah Parsons, with his tail between his legs, comes back to Jerry and takes short money to come back to the Cowboys. The man grew up being a Cowboys fan. He's hurt because he got his bluff called. He went so far as to have Trayvon Diggs acting a fool. And, I mean, you saw how that played out. He got, had that work. This is what I would tell any Cowboys player who he would even bother to listen to Micah. Micah recruited Trev over there. How'd that work out for him? Where's Diggs at now? Okay. Micah learned the hard way that nobody, the phrase is nobody's bigger than the program. But let me tell you something. You see that right there? There's no player in sports unless you're Tom Brady, maybe Patrick Mahomes. He's on his way. Nobody's bigger than the star. And Micah Parsons learned that the hard way because in Dallas, Texas, me and Justin say this all the time. If you are a Cowboy and a lifelong Cowboy, like D-Law, he's going to go win a Super Bowl probably Sunday. But you know what? He's set for life in Dallas because he was a Cowboy lifer. It was just his time. Same like DeMarcus Ware. Same like so many other Cowboys. Dez Bryant. And when you're a Cowboy for life and you love the Cowboys, you are set for life in Dallas, Texas, and in pretty much all of Texas in general. Outside of the Houston area, obviously, because they get brainwashed and they don't realize that the only good Houston team is right there. But, you're just set for life. So if Micah wouldn't have been so greedy, his greed got the better of him. David Moolah Getter, which, I mean, that name just sounds like a scumbag name, Moolah Getter, talked you into a bad deal, gave you some bad advice, and now you regret it, buddy. And we all see that you regret it, and that's fine, but that's all it is, man. Micah doesn't want to help the Packers. Micah Parsons doesn't love the Packers. You saw Micah as a Cowboy. He loved being there. He loved talking about how he was a Cowboy, and he just sniffed around Cowboy land all Pro Bowl week like a sad puppy. He's got egg on his face. hey man, we'll see you in a couple years. You're gonna take the short money, but Micah is doing something that is very dangerous for his brand. It is people talk a lot of trash and say what they want, but the Cowboys are the biggest and strongest fan base in probably all of sports. You don't want to piss us off because once we turn on you, it's over for you. And you're creeping that way, buddy. You're just creeping that way. Leave it alone. That's all I'll say.
Justin, what do you got? Why
Well,
do what do
so
you think about Micah's actions, and how does this GP situation get solved in general?
all right, well, let me start with the GP situation first, because I think the biggest thing about the GP situation was not CeeDee Lamb, but Dak Prescott. Okay, let's not get this confused. Dak Prescott is a Jerry Jones guy. Jerry Jones, after the Micah's trade, said, you look at both people, the only player that was indispensable to him was Dak Prescott. Well, when you have Dak Prescott speaking at the Pro Bowl saying that I'll get involved if I have to, Jerry's going to make sure that whether it's a tag, maybe a short-term deal, Dak and CD together are going to make sure that GP stays in Dallas. So I think that's the biggest thing is that, everyone can say what they want about Dak and people hate Dak, and I get it. He hasn't always played this way, but that is Dak's team by far in a way. Player wise, that is Dak Prescott's team. And Jerry has paid Dak twice. Jerry's even admitted to overpaying him. So Dak is just Jerry's guy. Now, the Micah thing, I think what Joseph said is spot on. If Micah could go back to the beginning of this season before he got traded and knew what he knew now, he would 100% redo it a different way. He would 100% take the money that he talked about. He would have never he does not want to be in Green Bay. That is more of him hanging around. He wishes he was still in Dallas. You can see it on his face. You can see it on his face. And, we always knew, even me and Joseph, when you go back and look at some of our conversations, that he was immature. We had just hoped that he was going to mature. He was still young, so I kind of gave him a pass, but he's just not grown out of it. And then it bit him in the ass. Let's be honest. He thought that, who was it at the beginning of the season that did that trade thing? Was it Myles Garrett?
Myles Garrett got paid for wanting a trade from the Cleveland Browns.
So I think that agent steered Micah. Micah thought that he was like that same level of guy.
Max Crosby did the same thing also. He threatened a trade, and they paid him in Las Vegas also.
And they thought that was going to work. They thought that was going to work in Dallas, and his agent did him wrong, man, because, I even heard the story of when he heard that he was getting traded, he tried to make a deal. He told his agent, let's make a deal. But Jerry, you know how Jerry is. Once Jerry's set in something, and it really, let's be honest, it helped the team. It's going to help the team. The draft capital, Micah was not making you a contender. The defense would have still been horrible this year with Micah. So not only was it a thing, but I think Jerry truly looked at him as a valuable trade asset to make his team better. And Jerry would have paid him, but his immaturity, which, like you said,
this trade didn't just come.
Like D-Law spoke on, he was rubbing people the wrong way. We've heard that from multiple people.
Yeah, and like Justin, like we talked about, the trade didn't just come from this year. They were talking about trading him a year ago. So
but
when you're on the hot seat and don't realize it, and you make the situation worse.
Yeah, because Jerry even said before all that he was going to trade him for Quinn Williams in training camp before he even went to Green Bay.
So and we ended up with him anyways. So.
Yeah, it's just his agent did him wrong.
But Matt, I'd like to hear your take on it, Matt.
On which part?
I'd like to hear Matt's take on it because Matt he's not a Cowboys fan allegedly. But from an outsider's perspective, Matt, what do you see out of Micah Parsons in this behavior, his behavior throughout the season, and what we saw at Pro Bowl week?
I think it's exactly what you guys were saying. It's a lot of spite towards he's trying to hamper the Cowboys in any way because he got traded. And that's not what, at the end of the day, it's not what he wanted at all. But as was being said, and I've dealt with this agent before, you got to remember, this is the same agent that Deshaun Watson had. And look at the deal that he got. The Browns a raw deal, and he got the most money for Deshaun Watson and himself. Let's not forget, he's getting a piece of all these pies from all these guys. He got Deshaun sent to Cleveland. same deal, big extension, not really working out. One team we got better from it. Look at all the picks and players we got from that one trade alone. Now, Micah Parsons, as was said, bro, he was a kid in Pennsylvania as a Cowboys fan, around Philly fans. Being a Cowboys fan, that was a team that he wanted to play for because he wanted to play for Penn State, he wanted to play for Dallas, and he got it. But the fact is that his agent allowed his head to get bigger than what he really was. Don't get me wrong, Micah Parsons is one of the best edge rushers in football. When you break down, he's no Myles Garrett, he's no Max Crosby. Is he
And
better
yet,
than
I'll say,
TJ?
yeah.
That's
Look,
the debate. That's the debate. Is he better than TJ?
He's not
But
better than Will
and
Anderson.
to get there. But here's another thing, guys. That because I don't want to just make it seem like, oh man, we're just blowing the Cowboys, and he wants to be a Cowboy. This is another thing because Micah has an ego. Micah's a diva. Micah loves being the guy. He went from being because even now in Dallas, there's Cowboy fans. I was one of them who weren't the biggest Dak. There's Cowboys fans who hate Dak Prescott. Every Cowboy fan loved Micah Parsons. He was the guy for the Cowboys, right? For the fan base. You're not that in Green Bay. In Green Bay, you're maybe number 4 on the list, maybe 3. It's different. It's
and that's
different when you're
And you're
not the
not
guy in
talked
the
that's
about.
show.
You're
another
not going to be
problem he
talked about
has.
near as much.
Go ahead, Justin. Go ahead.
I would say you're not going to be talked about near as much in Green Bay. It's all. I mean, you're the media surrounding you. It's like we pointed to the other day. How many people probably are barely really finding out how good Quinn Williams is since the Dallas trade? How many people didn't even realize that dude was like as good as he is?
Was on the
Because
Jets.
Or
on
even
the
knew his
Jets,
name. How
or
many
even
Cowboys
knew his
fans knew
name.
his name?
Exactly, because it's different in Dallas. You're not going to see your name go across that ESPN title line near as much in Green Bay. You're in the middle of Wisconsin somewhere. People are going to forget about you, especially if you're going out. You're hurt. Which prayers to him. And like you said, I don't want to seem like we're just bashing Micah because he's not a Cowboy no more. I wish Michael was still. I wish they would have worked a deal out.
Well,
I wish it would have happened right, but it just
let me touch on that point right there too, of not knowing who you are, because everybody did forget about him, bro. Why are you rolling around the Pro Bowl on a scooter? Didn't you just tear something in your leg? You can't even put weight on it. Why are you even there? Go recover. You're just trying to get in front of all the cameras and make some
And
noise.
every clip is not of you with your teammates.
Yeah,
Your old
it's
team.
you talking to Cowboys players.
I mean, I seen a clip
Or
today
rolling
where
around
he
on
was
your
hanging
scooter.
out with Brandon
And there's
Aubrey.
clips of him getting in on Cowboy exclusive interview because he knows who the Cowboys media team is.
Yeah,
He's hanging around on. It's not just ESPN or NFL. He's hanging around Cowboy media centric interviews
and
because he knows who those guys are.
Yeah,
as a
I've seen
sports,
him hanging
but
out
as
with
a
Brandon
sports
Aubrey.
fan, as a sports fan, though, bro, we all know what the biggest brands in sports are. Everybody knows. You want to be a Cowboy, you want to be a Yankee, you want to be a Laker, you want to play for Real Madrid. Those are the biggest brands in all of sports, bro. There's nothing bigger. And it's like you guys were saying, Micah eventually thought he was bigger than the star. Nothing and nobody outside of Jerry Jones is bigger than the star itself. And that's where he thought he was. He thought he can take his show on the road and all the way up to Green Bay or wherever he thought he was going to go. But it wasn't going to be that way. If you're not playing at a Myles Garrett level, at a Will Anderson level, at a Max Crosby level, nobody's going to care.
We don't even got to go that far. Just from Jerry's history, bro. You talking about the same guy who got rid of Dion. Emmitt Smith was gone.
Mm-hmm.
DeMarcus Ware, Jason Witten, like this. Jerry just doesn't get rid of quarterbacks.
Facts.
If you look at history, Jerry don't get rid of quarterbacks. He'll get rid of every other position but the quarterback spot.
The only person on that team safe is Dak Prescott. I mean, let's be honest. That is the only guy on that team that is safe.
And you can't tell me that there hasn't been offers on Dak throughout the years. Even if him and because Justin said he's a Jerry Jones guy. He is now.
Yeah.
But that wasn't always the case. But Jerry doesn't move from his quarterback. And it showed up. And like I said, like Justin said, we're not trying to bash on Micah. It's going to sound that way. But, man, it's getting sad. There's no other way to put it. It's getting sad.
The Pro Bowl was a bad
choice,
look.
man. you have to live with the decisions you made, and
Yep.
let Micah's behavior be a warning to all the other Cowboys. You see what can happen? Get in line. Diggs is gone. We just paid Diggs. Micah was, the guy gone out of here. I love it for Dallas because it's showing we're getting away from the stigma of we love the divas. We're getting away from that. And, you know, let's see what we do with these picks.
And I think that's
In a
a little
perfect
bit of
world,
credit to Shoddy. I'm giving Shoddy a
in a
little bit
perfect
of credit on that.
yeah. And in a perfect world, these picks is Herschel Walker 2.0. Even if it leads to one Super Bowl, it's a win. So, Micah, again, you know, timestamp this, clip it, whatever. Mark my words, before Micah Parsons retires, he will find his way back into Dallas. And I guarantee you, if Jerry Jones is alive when he comes back, Micah Parsons will take a podium and apologize for what happened this year.
That would be incredible if he did. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is the show. We have covered all our topics tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning
Hold
in.
on, wait. Give
Oh,
me let's take a second because I haven't got to talk this with you exclusively on your show.
go.
And let's just get a quick recap of man, Shakur Stevenson
Oh, yeah.
just absolutely dissecting Teofimo Lopez, the same Teofimo Lopez, because he's not old, who beat a peak Vasil Lomachenko,
hmm
just couldn't seem to land a glove on Shakur Stevenson when Lomachenko was known as the Matrix. Um, Matt, is Devin Haney versus Shakur Stevenson the biggest fight to make in boxing in the next 2 years?
Absolutely. I think it is. And I think it's slowly marinating itself right now, especially with the win for Shakur Stevenson, putting him on a high top 5 pound for pound, arguable top 3 pound for pound conversation. And in a fight itself, performance itself that went viral, had a lot of eyeballs on and around it, spread out through social media. But I think the talking points are now those two guys, especially if Devin Haney does fight a Keyshawn Davis and Shakur Steven just stays busy, stays active and stays busy and just gets on another big fight, or at least on another big card to keep his name fresh in front of people. I
Yeah,
think
and
that
there's
is
plenty.
I think that is the next best American fight to be made within the next 2 years for sure.
It took Shakur to another level. I won't quite say it was his Oscar moment, but it kind of was his Oscar moment. Teal was this fight was huge. A lot more people than I expected were actually
Yeah,
excited and hyped up and watching this fight. And I don't care if you think that this was he was running or too defensive, then you don't know what the fuck you're watching. Please excuse yourself from the conversation
absolutely.
because this was a great fight.
His performance was beautiful. It was like
It was it
it was
was it
watching
was
excellence at
it
work.
was Mayweather Corrales without the knockdowns. You know,
Mayweather-esque for sure.
he
Mayweather-esque.
systematically picked apart Teofimo Lopez, sat in the pocket with him, and just gave him just was too much for him.
Yes.
Um, and no through no help of Teofimo Senior, who has got to be the worst father trainer I've ever seen in my life. I mean, to ask something, we've been in border wars, and I've
It's
never
been
seen guys in the corner, Matt, say, "You gotta fucking hit him, bro.
I
Where'd your
think
power go?"
I think
These,
it's I couldn't call him like a terrible trainer because they still did what they did. I think this he got
you
Tio
know, I
as far
can
as he
though
could.
because
He got
I,
Tio as far as he could.
and I don't think so. I think that is Tio's ability. You know, Teofimo Lopez Jr. is very much still afraid of Teofimo Lopez Sr.,
Yes.
and it's very evident. But make no mistake about it, I really believe you give obviously you give Tio Sr. some credit, but Teofimo Lopez Jr. got himself to this point. This kid is naturally talented, quick, fast, powerful. He's a showman, and like you mentioned, the other day, with the right trainer to make the adjustments for his style,
Yes.
that fight might play out differently. He may still lose, but he won't look lost in there. And for someone as talented as Teofimo Lopez to just look absolutely lost, that's just lack of knowledge in the corner. You know, people are saying, well, he gave bad instruction. I didn't hear instruction. There
Now,
was
there
no
was no real
instruction.
instructions. Whoever
So
what the trainer was on the side was giving him instructions, but
yeah,
Teofimo Senior wasn't really saying much of anything.
no, and it's diabolical. Um, I would love to see Tank and Shakur get in there because people sleep on how fast Tank is.
I don't think that ever happens.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think we've seen the last of Javante Tank Davis, and even if he comes back, man, it's going to be. I'm very fearful that we're headed for a Mike Tyson situation.
Quite possibly. My thing for Shakur, and I was talking about this the other day because Canelo's comeback is Mexico versus World. Let's see if Turkey Al Sheik or Matchroom or somebody can get enough money to get Pitbull in the ring for the co-main event of that whatever Canelo's comeback is.
I think that's the best move to make. I
It's a
love
big
that.
and it's
I
a
love
super
that
big
idea.
stage and a big name
The,
at the second, third biggest name behind Canelo Alvarez in Mexican boxing.
the only issue I have with that, Matt, is that it's beginning of February. So can we get Shakur in there kind of maybe May and then back for September? Um and then the question would be, well, who do you put Shakur in there with for
Yeah,
May? But I like that because I think you do want to build off Shakur, make him another main event, put him on the Canelo co-main. That gives him 3 fights this year. Then he can come back in January in another big fight. Because I think all roads point to like a June, December 2027 Haney Shakur fight, and that's going to be after Haney lifts though that green belt off of Ryan, because that's going to be your Cinco de Mayo fight for 2027 is
big
Devin and
time,
Ryan.
big time.
So, but we'll see. Y'all just want to touch on that with you
No, that's good.
and just talk about the place that boxing is in and Justin,
It's in a really
real
good
quick,
state.
man, did you get to see the fight? What were your thoughts on it if you saw it? And what were your thoughts on Shakur Stevenson's performance, just from a casual fan's perspective?
I only saw highlights. I didn't watch the fight just because I'm not paying $70 for that fight. Not that it probably wasn't worth it, but
Well, it also wasn't pay per view, so
well, you know, I just didn't watch it. I watched the highlights, extended highlights. It did look like just from a casual, and I can't speak on it too hard, but it did look like Teofimo got schooled. Just from a casual's point of view, the only fight I remember like that to that caliber of fighter was like the Canelo Mayweather. Can
Yeah,
Teofimo have a Canelo moment where he learns from it, gets better direction to move on? Because like you guys have always said, and I watched it and I learned from y'all, is that Canelo that made Canelo. That fight really made Canelo. I mean, Canelo looked like a different fighter after that fight. So is that going to be Teofimo? Which direction does Teofimo go? Does he just go downhill from there and he lets it get into his mindset and because of how bad it was, or does he learn from it and get even better?
it's different a little bit because like you got to remember, like Floyd was already been so experienced, and this was to a lot of folks Shakur's first big fight, and where Teofimo had the experience and been in there with the caliber of fighter, but it all
yeah,
depends what Teofimo does with his trainer and how he condones himself in and around his father. That's the big thing. He
yeah.
has to get all that, and not only that, just his mental, his head. He gets so inside of himself that he spooks himself, and it's like a scared racehorse. It's just not gonna go.
Well, we've seen fighters in all combat sports, man. A bad loss like that can derail you. I mean, I'm more of a UFC fan, so I can only compare it to like Tony Ferguson. Remember how dominant he was,
Yeah,
and then he loses, and he just can't win again, man. I mean, he
yeah.
gets knocked out what 5 straight fights.
When
Yeah,
he
I mean,
lost to
look at
Gaethje, he
Deontay
wasn't the
Wilder.
same.
Wilder's
Yeah,
a
another
prime
good one.
example of that. He's got a fight with Chisora coming up, and people don't feel like he should even be in that fight. It's too dangerous for him. So
I mean, you have to decide. You're going to take that Canelo route where you can get better from it. You learn, you become a better fighter than you ever was, or do you take the Wilder, Tony Ferguson route where it's just like that's it,
Yeah,
yeah,
man.
or look
You
at
pack
Devin
it up.
Haney. Haney took the beating to Ryan Garcia. Obviously the controversy with the PEDs and stuff, but he still took that ass whooping. And man, he's come back and he just ran through the baddest man at 147, the perceived puncher in the division. And Haney's the one that had him up, looking up at him. So,
yeah, the knockout of the
like
year
you said,
winner.
Justin, it's all about what route you take from here. Do you learn from it? Do you let it break you?
You're either going to get better, or it's just going to break you completely down. I mean, that's one of the, when you lose a fight in that way, like I remember watching Crawford beat Spence. Never thought Spence would ever look like that in his life. He didn't look ready for the fight, and I don't think he's fought since, has he?
He's going on 1,000 days out of the ring. He has not come back. It's insane to think, but yeah, it's all going to be super dependent on how he reacts to this loss.
I think fighting it's a lot harder. Like in all sports, most sports you can take a loss, your team can rally around you, but it's just you. So if you're in a bad mental space after a loss like that, man, they can just eat you alive.
Look at Conor.
Yeah, very, very,
Conor,
very good point.
Conor lost to Khabib, and they just.
Well, I think the Mayweather fight was the end of Conor. To be honest, I mean, once he got money, man, he was done. I mean, he was.
And that's a big part of it too, right? So that's the thing with Tio is like Tio's had a few big money fights.
That money hits different, man. That money hits different. I mean, because there was a time, dude. I mean, the Jose Aldo Conor McGregor dude. I mean, he was one of the best fighters you've ever seen. In
that, though. But like, you got to remember when Tio lost first, it was easy to blame it on. Well, it was just a bad night for him, and Kambosos was just that guy on that night.
Yeah.
And with the weight, but it's just like people were worried about his mental. If you're questioning yourself after wins, that's a problem.
Yeah, and I think another road we're leading to is the Teofimo Lopez Ryan Garcia fight for the pretty much winner go home fight. That's going to be a crossroads fight for those guys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, winner go home.
Speaking of Ryan, guys, don't forget we will be reacting to that fight on the 21st against Mario Barrios, which is a great card all around for that fight.
I think we might have to go live for that one.
Yeah, we'll be live reacting to all of it. Justin will be watching that fight too, because like I explained to him the first time, it's two guys he's seen for sure, both fighting Gervonta Davis, and they're going to collide together at a much better weight to see who is going to be the man. Which all the roads are looking to, like we're saying, Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia rematching by possibly Cinco de Mayo, if not this year. They'll probably rematch this year at some point. But
I think they're gonna save it. I think David Benavidez going off with Oscar to steal the date. Look for Turkey to take that date back. I think Ryan Devin 2 will be a Cinco de Mayo Netflix event next May.
Could be. Anything else, boys? Anything else?
I think another fight worth all of us watching on the UFC side of it's going to be the Holloway Oliveira fight.
Man,
that fight's going to be fantastic. I think that's a retirement fight for both.
That's a good fight, but I think all eyes are now, as we get closer, they're pointing to the White House card. We all want to see how that's going to work out and who's going to be on there.
You just have to stack that card. I mean, you just have to stack that card up and down.
Yes.
And the only thing I hope they don't do, I hope they don't put Ilia Topuria and Justin Gaethje on that card, because that fight's going to be a wash.
It's a high possibility.
That fight's going to be a wash. I'm telling you right now, Ilia Topuria is going to smoke Gaethje.
Before we close out, Justin, because I know you weren't too happy with the Royal Rumble, but did you see the promo between Roman Reigns and CM Punk? And if you didn't, maybe take a chance to look that up, man. And because, me and Matt kind of felt like it was flat. Mania was, we kind of felt like we knew where it was headed. Then Roman and CM Punk put on just a clinic of a promo battle. And I tell you, man, I'm fired up. I'm ready for WrestleMania. I know Matt's fired up. It just goes to show, to me personally, this thing with Roman is really reinforcing just how good Vince McMahon was and how good he was at knowing who's a star. They gave Roman hell to become a star, but look, man, they've had 2 years of Cody. You got these other guys coming up. When Roman Reigns is on the top of the bill fighting for the title, it's just, wrestling's just good, man. And
I did see the promo; it was really good, and I think that's a great point. I think Cody had his moment, but I don't think Cody's the same as Roman. Roman is that guy. I mean, you want to compare him? He is the John Cena of this era.
Yeah.
He's got to wear the back brace and carry that company right now because he's the guy. I mean, it is him. That's what people want to see. That's what I want
And,
to see.
and it's nothing against Cody. Cody's great. Lucas loves Cody. My son loves Cody.
The
But
kids love
Roman
Cody.
Reigns is just there's levels. There's
He's
levels.
that
And
guy.
Roman,
I
I think
mean, he's that guy.
that's the difference though, is the kids love Cody. Everybody loves Roman. Everybody understands that Roman Reigns is the biggest star in professional wrestling right now.
When I think Roman does a good job of he can do both much better than Cody can. He could be
Yes.
the biggest villain. He could be the biggest star. He could play both of those roles. He does. I hate to compare him, but he reminds me of The Rock in that way, where he's a great heel and he's a great baby face. Because The Rock
and he
was great
just
at like the John Cena, right? The only thing about John Cena was a bad heel. You just couldn't believe it. He's just a bad heel. But The Rock, he could play both
the
so
late John
great.
Cena was a bad heel. Early John Cena was such a
That's
good
right.
heel. That's why he turned babyface. And Roman just has this thing that they talk about. He just has it. I mean, that guy is like, fuck, man. If shit, I wish I could be Roman Reigns. You know what I mean?
I mean, there's nobody else you need that WWE has no business putting anyone else to headline Mania right now than Roman Reigns.
Yeah. Roman Reigns and CM Punk is gonna be the biggest main event built up in quite a little bit outside of what's going
You
on
gotta
with
give
The Rock.
CM Punk credit. That dude's got star power.
Oh,
I mean,
listen,
Yeah,
that dude's
CM
so
Punk.
got star power.
CM Punk is 100% got
Yeah.
star, and that's what makes the match so great. Is it's two real stars. CM Punk, when he went to AEW, they were up over 1 million. Justin, he left AEW, they're crawling around 500,000. That's
I think for me, it's almost you just wish that because you in particular called out the Royal Rumble weeks in advance, and that's a bad thing. If they
Yeah.
could have got here in a different direction, a little more unexpectedly, it would have been better. But you're happy the direction that they're going for Mania. I just don't like how they got there. If that makes sense.
yeah, and
It
no, and I agree with you, and that's why I say the Raw after the Royal Rumble this past Monday,
was perfect.
it was just what the doctor ordered because I feel like there was no buzz for wrestling. It's February. Usually, even in the wrestling community, there was no buzz for WrestleMania. Everybody was kind of like, okay, we're gonna get Roman and Cody again. We're probably gonna get Drew and whoever. Da da da. And then boom, Roman and CM Punk, the two probably best talkers in the WWE right now. Great story, great back history. You're gonna get callbacks. You're gonna get name drops from guys like AEW, Colt Cabana, John Moxley, you name it.
Yeah, they name dropped
And
Colt Cabana.
Yeah,
That was
I don't
wild.
think they could have absolutely not got away with doing Cody and Roman again. That just would not work.
I think
That's why I
it'll
agree with
happen
Triple H.
eventually, but it hasn't had enough time to breathe yet.
That's why I agree with Triple H. It was too early to do a third match right now. There's
Yeah,
been everything around.
You got
It's
you
been
got to
one
spend you got to
mania.
spend a year setting that thing up, man,
It's
to make
been
it.
one
also
mania since they haven't faced each other. So it's
Well,
like, why are we going
then
right
you got
back
to
to
think
it?
too that first that the one that I remember clearly was the Mania that Cody finally won the belt. That
Yeah,
thing
yeah.
was special. So you're trying to top that way too soon.
And that's the thing about like what happened. Like when you think of the Rock Austin trilogy, right? That third match, pretty mid.
Yeah, wasn't
Now,
their best.
granted, with that match too, you kind of had to have it there because Austin was retiring. We didn't know that, but that third match doesn't live up to Rock Austin standards. You know what I mean? It was the same situation here. It was just 2 years after WrestleMania 17, which was the biggest main event of all time.
Well, you just do things like like that first one, like Rock Austin 1 and 2 were so special, and then that Cody Roman Reigns one was so special. If you just keep doing that, man, you're just not going to live up to what that is. It's just a bad way to do. So I think they are. I mean, it's made me who doesn't watch wrestling all year watching that promo on Raw. It makes me like, okay, definitely locking in for WrestleMania.
Yeah,
this
and
year.
the space between it, look, you had Brock and Roman 3 times, but they spaced it like 4 or 5 years apart to when that third fight had the third match happen for both belts. That was special. That was a big night. That was so I think, but yeah, I just want to say, man, people I think we live in a weird culture, man, but I think with time and the way the world is headed, man, people are going to go back to being really appreciative of how good Vince McMahon was because sometimes the puppet master, there's a reason he's the puppet master and tells you who's the guy because he sees it long before we see it. And the people wanted Daniel Bryan, the people wanted, you know, Jey Uso, whoever it may be,
Sami Zayn.
Sami Zayn, but the guy is Roman Reigns,
Yeah.
and it's
And it's
like
not just because they push that guy either. There's a quality about somebody that makes them that guy.
that you
It's not
just
just because
can't
the company's
teach.
pushing. Because the company is actually, we've seen the company push people who didn't need to be pushed, who just, even with the push, they couldn't get over the hump.
Yeah.
You know, so there is that's a good. Vince is special in that way. I mean,
Yeah,
he's
Vince
just
McMahon knew what
special
a
in that
star
way.
looked like. Vince knew what a star historically, he's always known what a star looks like. Like he even had these differences with his dad, where his dad always loved Bob Backlund, but he knew he needed Hulk Hogan to be
Yep.
his guy.
And now, Matt, let's close with this, man. Not to take your show over, but I know
No,
you're
go
trying
for
to
it,
get
man.
out of here. But I can't help but talk about this. I know we'll get into it more with Mario later on, but MJF and Seth Rollins at
Very
Radio
interesting.
Row at the Super Bowl, and MJF says, "Oh, this will be good. Wait till they get it." If MJF leaves, is that the final death blow for this era of AEW? I don't want to say it'll kill the company because obviously nothing killed TNA, but for there was a great era of TNA, and then everybody started kind of going back, and all the guys started going over. If MJF leaves, what does AEW have left? Do they just accept being the number 3 company and rebuild? Where do they go if they lose Maxwell Jacob Friedman?
It hurts them a lot because similar to Roman, he's probably the biggest star that they have in the entire company. Now I know there's people that are loved in that company all over, your Kennys, your Bucks, Hangman, Moxley,
I
but
think I think in AEW you have two genuine crossover stars, two genuine stars. Period, and it's MJF and Darby Allin.
yeah, yes. It hurts a lot. It really hurts a lot. It does as much damage as AJ leaving TNA for sure. Because once AJ left TNA, that was it. Everybody gave up
A-
on him.
And,
It
and
was
that's
the
a
death
good
blow.
comparison because yeah, you're exactly right. Once that domino fell, it was just that era of TNA wrestling was
Was
dead,
never is dead.
and it,
Yeah,
and it
it was
I
never
mean it's
gonna be the
taken
same.
10 years to get back to this point. So like when I say kill AEW, I don't necessarily mean AEW as a company will go away and not be in business, but they had a great run from beginning till, I mean, just being honest, till Punk left,
Yeah.
and I think MJF crossing the street, which he should have done the first time, because he's lost some luster too, and I think he's well aware that. I think he probably,
He
you know
understands. But
kind of
he
like the
also
Micah
understands.
situation we talked about earlier, right? Where
Yeah.
if MJF could roll those dice again, I think he's going to WWE.
I don't think so because they they're not gonna offer MJF the money that Tony Khan's gonna offer him, and especially not the schedule that he's gonna have in AEW to do what
No,
he's doing
a
right
hundred
now.
percent. But what I'm talking about is the career potential because
It's still there. He's barely gonna be 30 years old. He's got
I
plenty of
understand that.
time.
But what I'm saying is, when he was talking about coming to free agent in 2024,
Mhm.
MJF was the hottest name in wrestling. He is very much cool. He's not ice cold, but he is very much cooled off
Yeah,
since
I
then.
mean, to that bidding war, it was between 2 people. That's really all it is. And there's like I
And
said,
that's what I'm saying.
you gotta
I
look at
don't
the
think
the
MJF
benefit.
regrets it money wise. Obviously, financially, it's been huge for
I
him.
don't even think he would regret it for his career because
I think he does.
he still
I think
he
if you were
still
to ask him,
gains the opportunities that he gets now because now he's in just much more movies and TV and he can flip to that. He's a character. He's good.
yeah, but I just think that wouldn't have changed with whether he was in WWE or not because like we said, he's got the star power.
Mhm.
And I think, like, unfortunately for MJF, I think if he'd have jumped back then, they probably looked at him as main roster ready. I don't know that they don't send him to NXT for a couple months if he switches over.
I don't know. I wouldn't think so. If Powerhouse Hobbs didn't have to go, then I don't think MJF would be one to
I
go
mean, we
that
haven't
way.
seen him pop back up just yet.
He's confirmed to debut tomorrow night on SmackDown.
So that's something, but and then again, who better to feud with Cody? You know what I mean? Than a guy like who better to work with Seth against Cody than a guy like MJF?
MJF, yeah, MJF.
So
It's gonna be massive, and they never
I
revealed how
think
long
that's
his deal is either. So that's
yeah,
what we gotta
but
figure out and wait.
I think that's pretty much a done deal when his deal is up, and I just wonder what kind of impact that has on this era of AEW. Is it the end of the era, and how long is that rebuild? Because Tony Khan's out here looking like Dixie Carter, just
Mm,
calling it what it is.
nasty. I mean, yeah, but it's better for Tony because he's the money. Everybody knows Dixie's parents were the money. Tony Khan has an endless supply of money that he
Well,
can
and
continue to
so
fund it
to your
where
point though,
until
Tony
it's
Khan's dad is
time
the
to die.
money. Shad Khan is the money.
But he
Much
gave
like
Tony Khan a bunch of money also. Tony Khan has his own money. And then when Shad dies, Tony's the next guy in line. He's the heir to the throne. They're making money off of a car bumper, and it's going to continue to make money till the end of time. Every car is going to need a bumper, and then they have multiple sports franchises. So they got billions of dollars going
yeah,
around there.
and it just makes you wonder how long are they going to be on Max and TNT?
With the purchase of their parent company, that is where the tricky part comes in.
Yeah, and
Because if Netflix gets HBO and they
because
acquire the movie studios, they're not going to want AEW with
well,
the
and not
conflict
just
with
that, but think
WWE.
about it. So now that takes
And it also
Hulu's
takes
off
their
the
library.
market,
Well, think about this first for AEW. It takes their library away. Where does their library go?
and that's the thing. They don't have. That's what I'm saying is they don't have anywhere to go. If if Max gets absorbed up, Netflix obviously is off the table. Uh,
Paramount.
Hulu's off the table.
They can't go to Paramount.
Paramount
That's
Plus is off the
TKO.
table. Do you go to Prime? Are people going to pay to see you on Prime? That's there's not a lot of. Do you go to Tubi? I mean,
Their best bet would go to YouTube. That would be their best bet is to go to YouTube
and unfortunately for them, that's just gonna all that's gonna do is show really how low these numbers truly are.
because it's gonna hurt for sure. It'll hurt, but
Justin, are you aware of who MJF is?
Not a clue.
look him up. He's
Yeah,
good.
look up MJF.
He's damn
MJF is
good.
going to be
But
one of the
thinking
biggest
it's
stars
funny.
in pro
It's funny
wrestling.
that whole time I'm thinking about what you said about Vince, right? And just my rest of mine goes to this. I feel like Vince would have made LA Knight a huge, way bigger star than what WWE did.
Nah.
Yeah, I don't think LA Knight would be in the
You
WWE
gotta.
if it's still around.
You didn't
I don't know
see
if
it
he's changed
because it
that
wasn't on.
schedule.
You didn't see it because it wasn't on something where you could see. But he wasn't LA Knight when Vince first got a hold of him. That's the problem. He was a male model agent, like with those dudes that you saw wearing the bralettes, like Pretty Deadly. He was around that circle. So, and they're still doing LA Knight an injustice to this day because he should be in the main events. He's a main
He
eventer.
should
He's a guy.
he
Like
should just
look how they reacted when he came back on Saturday. They
I thought
loved
he
him.
had, yeah, when I was watching it around that WrestleMania time, it was like, it looked like he was like going to
He's a
be
star.
a big star. And just like
It's
they kept having him lose to like Logan Paul and shit, and it just seemed weird to me. I don't know. And Logan Paul's a great wrestler. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying.
I think the
oh,
problem for LA Knight is because it's like a lot of people, a lot of older people, right? Like even my dad brought this up when he seen him is you kind of just look at LA Knight as a nostalgia act.
yeah.
He's a callback to those guys that we loved. And I think while it gets him over with the crowd, I think it hinders him with creative because I think they don't believe that which is ridiculous. If you ever look up Eli Drake in TNA and
He's
in the
great.
NWA, the guy's a star for real. But I think they've still got some reins on him that they need to just let go of.
I think the main thing is this is no matter if Vince is there or not, the big thing is if you get over more than what they wanted you to or before they wanted you to, they're gonna hold you back. They're gonna do that every time. They do it to
Yeah,
everybody every time.
100%.
Every single time. But we shall see. A lot of things looking forward to. Good show, guys. Good hour and a half. We usually only go an hour, but I don't mind the hour and a half. It's good, man. Shout out to everybody that's watching the show. Everybody make sure to like, subscribe to the show, Talking About Radio, youtube.com/Talking About Radio. Follow us over on Twitch, Matt_Garces. For the first time, we were live on Facebook. I'll figure out how to turn the comments on next time because we got a good crowd on Facebook. So thank you for everybody tuning in tonight on Facebook. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. Joseph, social media's out so that way you can keep promoting these young kids playing ball.
Yeah, so Supermax_56 or at Garces_Joseph on Twitter. If you want to hear, some of our great young athletes in Plainview, some of these Bulldogs, I am the broadcaster right now. Right now, I'm doing it solo for Plainview High School sports. So basketball wrapping up. We got softball and baseball coming up, and then we got the Bulldogs dropping to 4A next year.
Big
Automatic
news.
playoff bid in a 14 district, and Coach Martinez is setting the expectation of now we have to win in the playoffs. Man, I really would have loved to have seen what Seth Mayberry and this batch of Bulldogs could have done in that in 4A. But I think we've got a good batch coming up under. Some of our baseball guys now are starting to make their way to that varsity level. So obviously, me and Matt, we've coached youth baseball. Our guys are, they're in high school now and they're kind of they'll be juniors and seniors. So my heart is with these guys, and I know what a lot of these guys are hardworking, great group of kids. So if you want to just follow me there, Network One Sports, I'll usually post a link on all my socials, or if you live in Plainview, 106.9 FM, we will be live with the pre-game tip-off show tomorrow at about 5:50, 5:45 for a doubleheader. It's senior night. If you're in Plainview, go by the cafeteria. They're having the Lions Club pancake supper. Get you some pancakes. Go enjoy some good basketball and give these seniors, show these seniors some love, man. For the ladies, it's their final home game of the season, and the boys are wrapping things up now as they're winding down the year.
All right. Justin, score prediction for the Super Bowl. What do you got?
I'm going Seattle, gonna win this game, and I'm gonna say it's going to be 34-27.
Close game. Close game.
I got it 14-10, low scoring.
Low scoring game. I'll rock out. I'm gonna go 23-13. Seattle wins it. And I just hope for a good game. And I hope for a good Super Bowl halftime show, no matter how political it's going to get. But again, that is the show. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning in. Wrapping up tonight. Make sure y'all come back. We will be live again either Sunday night or Monday evening for the Super Bowl reaction show. We'll break down the game. We'll talk about everything that happened and talk about the news that's going to come up from that. But until next time, I am Matt Garces. This has been Talking About Sports with Matt Garces with my co-host. Shout out to you guys. We'll see you next time.